All right. We got November market data that just came out, as it does to begin every month. And just so everybody, if you ever want to access this in your MLS, I'm sorry, can somebody just tell me you can see the screen? Boomer here, first time on Zoom. Um, let me just start over. All right. You should
I see the, what do you call it, Jason?
MLS, right?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So if you ever want to access this data in your main screen on the MLS, this market stats tab here would be it. So I'm going to start. Well, first of all, I'm going to take a different approach to this today. Uh, this may freaking crash and burn, but I haven't looked at this yet. So the approach I wanted to take today was like, I'm coming in fresh. I'm going to give you kind of, the thought process, right, of how I analyze this, how I use it, as I've been presenting lately, like the data, the information, the training, the coaching, whatever, like anything that you consume as an agent is great from the standpoint of, okay, you have the information if you need it. But what's more important is like, what is the opportunity as a result of having this information? And more specifically, like, what is it that you can either go out and directly communicate or market, whether it be social media, email blast, newsletter, whatever, right? But like, market data becomes really relevant for real estate agents. I think it's fairly obvious, right? But it's a matter of like, here's your, here's what's going on in the market that you operate in. It's going to be, pretty important to have a handle on that, and then to be able to communicate it or market it is really the like next level up type of stuff. So I'm going to show you like how my brain or how I just think through this as I analyze and try to deliver valuable content to you as agents. But then I'm also going to take it further to where it's like, all right, let's create a strategy out of this. I'm going to tie in AI and things like that for you to just kind of see behind the scenes on, how to go about it for creating this sort of content and topics and whatnot for yourself. So hope that makes sense. Starting off, single family homes, Monroe County only. Again, this is, November data, that just came out that we're going to look at. But I always like to start with single family only in Monroe County because for the most part, for everybody, that's the bread and butter, right? So on this left side, we've got, the comparison from November of last year, and on the right side, we've got the comparison from just last month in October. And, starting with sales price, we've had this similar, like close to double digit level throughout the year of growth. And on the from last month, like, we're starting to see the seasonality play out of, it typically, as you see just in this chart, right? Like it rises in the spring and then comes down a little bit, in the fall and winter. And we're up 8% from the same time as last year, which just shows that our market continues to grow at our growth in the Northeast in general, but our specific market is outpacing, the growth in the marketplace overall, across the country. And then there's certainly markets like Florida and Texas, California, certain spots within that like are seeing the complete opposite where they're dropping 8%, 10% in some markets, year over year. So overall, price is up from the previous year, and that continues to be the story as it has been over multiple years here now. But we're seeing this seasonality, typical decline where it's like, okay, we have a small percentage decrease compared to October of last month, right? Closed sales, I don't know. We're just used to this at this point where it's like it's down, right? Again, it is significantly this time around where, now one thing with this, it's only the fifth right now. So this number of closed sales reflects like what is currently closed out and closed in November from being accurate on the MLS, meaning like a listing agent closed out their listing that closed in November already. Some listing agents are going to wait till they get paid. So if they had a closing last week, haven't gotten paid yet, and next week they get paid, and that triggers them to close it out in the MLS. Point being is this number will tick up, as the days go on in the month. But, we're far enough into it that like, okay, I can look at it and kind of see where we're at in the marketplace. If what I don't like to do for context is look at this data on the first of the month, because then it's really like, subject to build and these numbers could be skewed as a result. But we've got less transactions going on than we've been on that sliding scale, right? Um, Median days on market, we've grown from 7 to 8, right? September was 7. And you see, look at January through September was just 7 days on market. And, we went up to 8 from September to October. We're still at 8 in November. You see the seasonal effect, right? Like, in November, it was 8 last year. December of last year went up to 9. And then it, dropped back down to 7 in January, interestingly enough. But just understand seasonality in our market. It plays out. List to sale price ratio, relatively unchanged. And again, just to show seasonality again, right? Like you're gonna ride this type of high in the spring and summer months, and then when the market's less competitive, it'll come down. Overall, we're still a very strong market here, right? Obviously, this shows that, okay, only 113% list to sales price ratio, right? We could complain about it, but I just read last night actually that nationally, don't quote me on this, I think this is what I read, but nationally, the list to sales price ratio is 98%, meaning that, buyers are getting a 2% discount from the list price, if you want to look at it that way. Here, like, we're not only are we 100%, but we're well above it still. Still a strong competitive market. And interestingly enough, a small increase from the same time as last year, and just a really, really small increase from October of last month. Median sold per square foot really kind of, I mean, similar dynamic to the sales price. So I usually don't pay too much attention to that one. I'm more looking at like the overall sales price for the market. This listings data is where it gets interesting, right? And the inventory data is where it gets interesting because, we just want to see, is there any, like, our market changing would be a result of inventory changing, right? For this list to sales price ratio to decrease would be that would mean that there's that many more options available for buyers to choose from to allow it to decrease. And, from last year, we're down slightly, 3.6% less from the same time as last year. But from last month, holy crap, fell off a cliff, right? 44% less options available that came on the market in November compared to October. So you see the seasonality. To me, this also reflects we kind of shifted our rhetoric a little bit in the last few weeks, right? Feeling like, man, this is still favoring sellers. We were hoping that the fall would be kind of really opportunistic for buyers. And I do still feel that it is, but like, this lack of inventory just shows you that like this is still an obnoxiously strong seller's market, even as we head into this, you know, Thanksgiving to Christmas type of time of year that we're in right now, and head into like I mean, arguably, this is not arguably, this period that we're in right now is the slowest time for the real estate market. And one hand, this new listing data reflects that because there's just that many fewer options. So yeah, you will feel that slowdown or that lull of the holidays, so to speak, where it's a matter of you know there's not many options for buyers to choose from, and therefore there'll be less activity in the market, right? But on the competitive side of the marketplace, Yeah, we were hoping, I guess, in a way that we had this balance of like, okay, we could still sell listings, no problem, in 8 days on the market, and okay, it's only 110% of the list of sales price versus 120 in the peak of the season, but still a great time for seller and buyer opportunities that are out there. Now, if you're working with buyers or if you have a buyer in mind and you're hearing this and like, oh crap, that sucks. I was really hoping to capitalize on this in the next 3 weeks before the new year. You still can, okay? Because the reality is that both agents and consumers tend to sit on the sidelines this time of year. So that's the opportunity for you to get out there and really convert your buyer pipeline. But just understand that, yeah, we're in, you know, really low levels of inventory still, and the seasonality of the inventory, hasn't been debunked, at least in November, and I wouldn't expect it to be in December. But like some really extreme numbers in terms of, you know, from last month, from October to November, right? The inventory numbers. But then also last year, like we're just still I don't necessarily think it's a negative, but there's no end in sight to this market that we're in. Like next year, the prediction will be, much of the same story that we've been living, in the past 5 years. And sure, really beyond that because it's been, 2018 that's kind of picked up the way that it is now, right? So, the bigger number to pay attention to, in my opinion, is the active inventory, right? As you see here, active inventory is the number of properties available for sale at the end of the period based on the contract date, which basically means like this is what's left over from the new listing inventory that came out. Now, I know these are similar numbers, but it's just keep in mind active inventory includes all of the other listings that were on the market prior to what came on new in November. But to see that this is, so we only had about 4% less of new listings that came on, but we had 12% less of listings that stayed on the market, meaning that like all these listings that come on are getting scooped up, right? And that's then reflected in the month supply of inventory, which would be month supply of inventory. Think of it as if as of today, no other homes were listed on the marketplace in total in the entire market, how long would it take to sell all those listings? And we've been at this around 1 month level for a while now, and understand that that is so extremely low, that the notion of a balanced market plays out when there's 4 to 6 months supply of inventory. We can't even get through 1 month. And it's just a really wild statistic for, how real estate data goes. Okay. So, yeah, we're up, I don't even know how it's telling us we're up. I mean, maybe there's additional decimal points because it's got point 0.8 there in November of last year, but saying that we're 7.9% up. But when you're talking, you know, point 0.8 to point 0.9, like those end up being decent percentages. We're, very, very far away from balance still, is what this data shows. This data, so far I'm seeing like much of the same story. We've got less transactions going in the marketplace, going on in the marketplace. We've got less inventory hitting the market that, adds up to where there'd be less transactions. And we also have, very competitive sellers market with low days on market, low month supply of inventory, high list to sale price ratio, and increasing pricing. That's Monroe County single family. To get a broader view of our, overall market, greater Rochester area, and taking a look at all the property types. And then I select a 6 county radius around us. So if you're playing around with this yourself, you got these pull down bars that you can, add to and take away from. But really a similar story. Yeah, I guess less extreme conditions, in the surrounding area, and that makes sense because you get into, lower demand type of markets that are rural or what have you that it makes sense the way it plays out compared to, you know, densely populated and higher demand just in Monroe County, proper for our market, right? But same story, still seeing basically the same percentage of increased price. You know, what were we at? Yeah, basically the same percentage of the decrease in total number of sales closed. You got similarly low days on market. You got a little bit lower, but similar, still very competitive, above list price. Really drastic, low inventory numbers. And yeah, you got a little bit higher of 1.5 months supply of inventory in the in the entire region. But again, 1.5 isn't moving any mountains. It's, we need 4 to 6 months for that number for the market to be balanced. I'll take a breath there. Anybody got questions or anything you want me to cover based on that?
What's that, bro?
All right. So what I want to do now is let me do this. Just want to show you what you can do with, you know, AI to help understand this data or craft a strategy around it. Sorry. So, let me get my screen shared back in. Well, what I'm doing right now is just saving the PDFs. So there's a print button below or at the bottom of those stats. Just saving them right now. Sorry, I'm not prepared. Rochester. All right, let's go to our friend ChatGPT. First of all, just have your AI tool of choice. I'm more in the you know, um, I'm more of a chat guy at this point. I do pay for I think it's $20. I do pay for the upgraded version of it. The reason I got there is that I'm constantly uploading, you know, documents up to it. And like with the free version, you only have so many uploads that you can take advantage of before it cuts you off for the day, I think. So I found an immediate need to where it's like, it makes sense for me to make this investment. Each of you have with your KW accounts the upgraded version of Gemini. Now, I guess just to have an AI landscape discussion, Gemini just released, I think it's their third version. And supposedly like they made a ton of progress. I mean, I think it was this week. It was actually the OpenAI, the ChatGPT guys, like they came out and they're like, I think they said code red is what was thrown around in the news that like, ooh, we got a problem. We got a competition problem. Google and Gemini is on our butts and you know, act accordingly to is what the CEO sent out to the company. So Gemini, like a few months ago, I haven't played around with Gemini, the new version of it yet. But a few months ago, I really started to get into this stuff. Like I was just finding like I like chat better. Supposedly Gemini may have surpassed it now. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't necessarily think it matters. What matters is the tool that you use and how you use it. But like just find your preference. And you'll also evolve to where like you may use multiple AI tools for different features. Like for one example, like I'll do more image type stuff on Gemini than I will ChatGPT as I've just, found them to be more user friendly when it comes to images and stuff and things of that nature. But anywho, so what I would do is, just start talking to it, right? And I'm going to start to say attached is the local market data from November 2025. for single family homes in Rochester, New York. Can you review and provide a detailed summary and statement? I'm going to attach. Oh, Monroe County. So my prompt is attached as local market data from November 2025 for single family homes in Rochester, New York. I'm just going to revise that to say Monroe County, New York. Can you review and provide a detailed summary and analysis of this data? And here it goes. And obviously, I think most of you are familiar, just with the pizzazz of AI and what it spits out and all that, right? But like, um, you can my point of showing you this is to just walk you through like how to get you know, used to using AI to help you improve, whether it just be your understanding and your knowledge of things, but more so to get to a point where it's like, how do you create a strategy out of this? Right? Like, what do you do with this information? I'm really big on like, again, I started with, you know, don't just learn something, learn what to do with it, learn how to implement it with your business, actually, right? So, this essentially to start with gives us the same type of analytics that I just gave, right? Essentially. But for you to do this on your own, it becomes a valuable thing too. It does, full analysis, what this means. I didn't do this before, but here you go. Inventory is the biggest story. Again, prices remain impressively stable. You know, I guess I would, kind of like I love this, no sign of a bubble burst like that. That's something that can be an opportunity to run with in terms of a marketing or conversational strategy type of stuff. I don't know if I would use the word stable for our market. I guess maybe they're pulling from the last month data, right, and not 8% increase. So, for me, I might talk to him and say like, I want you to revise your opinion on stable pricing here because we've had 8% growth year over year and the rest of the country's down, right? Demand is holding, 8 days on the market, 100% list to sale price ratio plus. Winter 2025 is shaping to be an opportunity, month for pricing bump. Motivated winter buyers are paying premiums. Okay. Agents who push listings in December, January may see unusually strong results. There you go. Business doesn't slow down, agents do. Um, so forward looking outlook for early 2026. So it's now I'll say this. My chat knows me well enough, knows what I'm looking for. Right. So at the end of it, it gets through this. And it's like, hey, you've been doing reels. I can create a 90-second reel script to summarize this if you want. Like it gives me I can create a coaching module for agents. Right. This is unique to me. Right. So as you play around with this more, it's going to like just feed you what you're looking for without having to prompt it too much. And this is the ability that you have to take advantage of. So what I'm going to do now is prompt it again. Okay, great. And bear with me here. So this is a working workshop type of thing. Um, the data for, I don't know if this will go well or not. We'll find out. So I said, I'm attaching the data for the entire 6 counties in the greater Rochester region. Can you analyze and find any additional relevance to add on top of the Monroe County data? See what it gives us.
Jason,
Mhm.
how did how does it know that? I mean, explain how it adapts to it. I guess I don't understand that. What is it based on? Like, would you continuously ask it? It says, "Okay, this guy's looking
Yeah,
for this." Is that what it does? Or
yeah, yeah. Well, so are you asking like how it knows me or how it knows what to do with one?
well, I mean, I like when we had our one-on-one today. You mentioned that, once it understands you, it sounds more like you. I mean,
Yeah.
explain that a little bit more. I guess I don't understand that.
Well, that's the this is a so these robots, right? Um, are kind of they grow to be your personal assistant. They grow to be your employee, right? And like if you're employing somebody, you want them to perform to how you want them to perform. And it's that sort of notion of like you're training it, you're coaching it, you're telling it, how you want things done. It gets used to it over time. So you have to be
Okay.
logged in, okay? Um, to allow for that to play out, right? So like if because you can use chat, for example, like without having a an ID created, and it'll just you just kind of randomly answer what you're giving it, right?
Okay.
But once you're logged into your account, like it gets to know you, and it kind of adheres to what how you want to do things, and it really becomes your personal assistant. Makes
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah, that's freaking crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy times. All right, so here's what spit out. Big picture, Monroe County is hotter and tighter than the region. Okay. Uh, Monroe is the engine for the regional activity, right? Because they're saying like we got 426 closings in Monroe County, or 5 other counties combined, don't even double that up. So as we knew, we're the driver of the entire region, and where Rochester is located compared to everything around. 6 county radius. We got Ontario, Wayne, Orleans, Genesee, and Livingston. Make sure I did that right. Plus Monroe. Yes, perfect. Um, Monroe's more seller skewed. Pricing of 40 and gradient across the region. What's it mean by this? Sports. Monroe County is a price and demand leader in Rochester. Okay. I don't know that I would use that, but supply trends. All right. So it gets a lot, right? Now, here's what I would do next is let's create marketing strategies with this. Now it's already doing it for us. But like, let's just say, if you're starting from scratch with this, it's probably not going to do this because this is like, this is you can tell how it's adhering to me, right? Like, create a consumer facing blog. I've used this for it. Create, meeting content. Used it for it. Create 90-second reel scripts, right? Doing that. You know, templates and easy to digest information for on my end agents to read. I'm using it for it. It's just like, hey, I know what you do. Like, want me to do this stuff for you right now? So you can just keep running with what it's predetermining for you or suggesting for you. My thing is like, I want you to not just take this and uh only do what it tells you to do. I want you to really like think yourself and instruct it as your employee, as your personal assistant to act on your behalf. So I'm just assume this isn't here in terms of, all these steps and that you got to start from scratch. And, where I would start would be like, first of all, I like to talk to it like a human. I don't want it getting mad at me and doing whatever robots do when they're angry. So like, okay, great. Thank you. Let's come up with some marketing strategies. What topic would be most? All right. So here's my prompt. Okay, great. Thank you. Let's come up with some marketing strategies from here. What topic would be the most beneficial to market on social media in the form of a short post that would lead to engagement from my followers on that post? I want the topic to be informative to consumers, but also something that gets people to comment on the post so that I can engage back with them from there. So I'm just going to clarify this further. What topic from this data and your analysis. Let's see what it gives
I wish I had this shit when I was in school, man.
us. I don't know.
Jay, did I tell you this story about this kid I work out with, man? He's a professor in college, and he goes like literally like they got to stop, like they got to be careful when they have to write research papers and shit because it's not going to be plagiarized because everything's new and individual to whatever they decided they want it to be. He was it's almost like they almost want to stop like asking people to do papers because they can have it written this way in 2 minutes.
I don't know what higher learning looks like from here, to be honest with you, as a
I was,
result of
God,
seeing
I would have been so good at school with this.
Well, let's keep paying attention. Let's get you even better at your career. How about that?
Dang, yeah, dude,
All
I
right.
would have
So
aced.
top three high engagement topics ranked for comment potential. Why are homes still selling over asking in Rochester? So it says why this works. People love the debate of over asking offers. Sellers flex. I got 20 offers in 2 days. Buyers vent. This market is insane and everybody jumps in. Okay. Data backs it up. It's a perfect mix of surprising and controversial plus data backed. Um, saying that's number one. Number two, did you know our inventory is down 45%? Here's what that means. Right. So it's being purposeful here, right? It's picking up on, like that's an extreme number. However, if you remember, that was from just the month prior from October. And, I guess like we could run with that and just emphasize seasonality and that it's normal. But it's, not as like that 45% decrease from October. I'm looking at it, new listings was only down 3.6% from the same time as last year. So it's not that much of a story. I mean, it is a story because like that's a steep decline, right? Like we had 769 new listings in October, um, in Monroe County, down to 426 in November. So that's significant. We were running 785 before, and coming off the peak of the year was 925 listings new in June, right? So we're like half that in November. My take is like to be expected this time of year, right? Seasonality wise. Topic three is it better to buy in Monroe or other counties? People love comparing towns, suburbs, counties, etc. It's recommending use topic one. Then it gives, uh, more reasons as to why it works. Anything you guys want to run with here? You want me to go with, I kind of like topic one. Why are homes still selling over asking in Rochester? Trying to think. You know what I want to do right now? I'm gonna let's feed it October's data. And this, I'm showing you this just to, kind of encourage you to keep poking at this AI tool so that you're not just taking the first default result that it gives you and, not really having it make sense or be you as much as it can or be relevant as much as it can. So I just pulled October data. So I'm going to say before we go further, before we go further, I wanted to share October 2025 data from Monroe County. See attached. Is there anything relevant in the findings here compared to November's data that I already shared that we should be considering before we strategize further? All right. I wish I didn't do this right now, but sometimes it comes in and tries to get to know you even more and gives you two choices to choose from. So let me just try to fly through this. Hopefully, I'm just going to go with this for the purpose of getting through this. It's still going. I prefer this response. Okay. So let's see what it told us here. Inventory collapsed hard from October, that we know. New listings dropped sharply. Closed sales dropped, but not because of weak demand. Median sales price dipped slightly. Da, 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 da. So I'm just going to skip this. I'm going to say, okay. With AI, a lot of people, a lot of rhetoric is going to be, your quality comes from the prompts of what I'm talking to it with. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. My take is like, I don't necessarily like, I think two things. One, as specific as you can be, it goes a long way, right? Because so for example, and I'm not good at this. I'm not claiming to be, right? But just telling it to, hey, give me some social media topics, you'll get results, but give me social media topics that are going to cause maximum engagement. And like I did above, where it's like, I want people commenting on this post, is an example of specific, right? Um, and then also my second point on the prompts would just be like, don't take the first thing it gives you. Ask it to refine it. Go back to it with something else. Keep building it out until you get something that you're happy with. Okay. Is kind of my logic on that topic. And be very wary of just like you prompt it once or you ask it to do something once, copy and paste that first result, and then you're off and running. I think that's very, very dangerous at this point. Um, or at least my opinion is like I'm picking up on that already, where it's like I know you just copied and pasted some BS from AI and threw it into an email at me and didn't even bother looking at it. And maybe it's just me and I'm over analytical and annoying about it, right? But like that ticks me off. So if it's like a consumer that's getting that, you have to go about AI like also knowing that your people are using it too, and they're not dumb. And if you're trying to communicate with somebody and you're showing them that you can't communicate on your own and you need AI to do it, my opinion is like, I don't want to work with you. 'Cause, like, what else are you relying on AI for that's just basic, life skills type of thing, right? And I'd rather work with somebody that's using AI to enhance the experience versus using AI to be dependent on the experience that that agent is providing. So, for what it's worth. All right, so topics. Why did Monroe County lose 37% of its inventory in just 30 days? Okay. Do you think homes should still be selling over asking price? Okay. Everyone says the market is cooling, but the data says the opposite. Alrighty. Will spring 2026 be chaos again? Is it worth expanding your home search beyond Monroe County? I like it. All right. So it's not really giving me what it recommends. What do you think would Vasco, what do you think is the best? Man, I don't like that I picked this one. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, why did Monroe County lose 37% of its inventory in just 30 days? I mean, I guess it's unique. It's really specific to the data. So it's logic. It gives people something to solve. It contradicts the headline 657. So what's it got? All right. I mean, I kind of like this. Monroe County just lost 37% of its housing inventory in 1 month. Why do you think so many sellers hit pause this fall? I'd love to hear your take. I don't know that like this would be for me specifically, but do you get the point of like this is, what you can use? Okay. Like, or this is how you can create content. And you need to be in a position for your business where you're creating content. The I'm going to send it out this weekend, but there was the Gary Keller top mastermind that I was on Wednesday, or top agent mastermind that I was on Wednesday. Like, you know, he made the point that like the industry and the I guess just people are evolving quickly to where like at that level, like Gary Keller's level, like I haven't heard him spoke about like lead generation in the old school sense, from his book, right? Of like, calling people and asking them who looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. I haven't heard that in a very long time come from him. And he went out of his way this week to say like this is becoming more and more interconnected, social media and marketing presence to, personal human interaction and relationship. It's becoming more and more of a one-to-one dynamic than ever, and you have to capitalize on it. So, point being is like you have to create content for your business in order to be successful moving forward. You have to market yourself and your business and you as a human in order to be successful moving forward. You used to be able to get away. Like my take would be like, listen, if you want nothing to do with marketing and you're just going to, stay in constant communication and relationship with your people, like, yeah, game on, you'll kill it. Now, if you do that and do zero marketing, don't get me wrong, I still believe you'll have a very successful career. If you consistently communicate directly with your people all the time, I still believe you'll be very successful at this business. But there's a notion now that like you have to do that, plus you have to be a marketer in order to truly reach your potential or to truly, have the best opportunity to reach your goals. If it's not about max potential, that's okay, right? But just, if you have high level goals in this business, you're gonna really need to get on top of this marketing and social media game that has to be played at a pretty high level. And this type of dynamic of using this tool to take like, okay, great, here's just data in the marketplace. Um, Great, I got that. When it comes up, I'll use it. When I'm in front of a seller that I've got to kind of make them understand the market, I can refer to that. That's great. But the game has changed where you have to take this, take anything that you're learning, that you're seeing out there, that's current events, that's data related, that's trends of the industry, and really figure out what is the marketing strategy to, incorporate around it because it's real, it's relevant. Um, yeah, I don't know if I'm crazy about this. I mean, feel free to run with this if anybody sees it and they like it, or use this stuff to talk to your own AI robot and have it create stuff for you. But I might. I'll keep going, and I'm gonna pick topic number two. Do you think homes should still be selling over asking price? Well, do I like that? Let's see what we get here. Let's go with topic number two and home selling. What can we do? What can we create with that will? So caps in Rochester homes are still selling above asking, even in November. Monroe County average. Da, 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 da. So here's my question to you. Do you think homes should still be selling over asking in this market? Yes or no? Why? I want to hear your take. Uh, Thought the market was cooling. Tell that buyers are still paying above asking price or over asking price. Homes still normal. Is this just getting ridiculous? Tell me your honest opinion. Now, here's what's interesting. This kind of brings me outside my comfort zone a little bit, to be honest, because like I haven't done too much. I don't know that it's the wrong answer, but like I need to get outside my comfort zone to be doing this in a manner where it's like, okay, now I'm going to need to reply back to all these comments that come in if they come in, right? But that's what I asked it to do. So it's working for me, right? So, let's just say you run with one of these and then, um, what can I do? So that's a post. Let's write a blog off of it, right? Um, and I'm going to let's switch gears. Can you create a 1,200 word blog on this topic? I'm just going to leave it at that. That was not very specific. I'm being, trying to get through it here. Um, so I wouldn't recommend just doing that. Like 1,200 word blog topic with what goals that you have as to how you want to go about it, right? And boom, still go. So nobody needs to be a writer in order to, be effective with marketing content. You may see this and you're like, okay, this looks more like a list than a blog. Can you revise it? But get into the final thoughts, not bubble. It's a supply story.
I like that part.
The blog.
The no, the last part where it says this is not a bubble, it's a supply story.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me go back here. Okay. So like this is how to think of it, right? Like when it's like, ooh, I like that. Let's run with it. Great. I really like. the final thought. Can we switch gears and create some additional market content on this? It isn't a bubble. It's a supply story. Now, let me just do this. I'm asking it to switch gears, right? One thing that's really effective when using AI, and it's going to create more work for you, okay? But if you ask it to ask you, like, hey, what do you need from me in order to work on this on your end, right? That really leads to great results. So I'm going to say, before you create, do you have any questions about what I am looking for from this post? There you go. Right. So what do you want me to do? What's the tone that you want? You want the messaging that consumers are, on my end, right? Agents, but for you guys, like, target your consumers, right? Should the message include now, as you get going, this may prompt you or ask you, like, do you want this to be geared towards people in your sphere of influence, or do you want it to be geared to people that you don't know and capturing more people for your database, right? Sure, include specific data points. How bold do you want the message to be? Once I answer these 5 questions, I'll create rocket and roll in that way.